Now we'll quickly go ahead and go through it together just to check your work. Our first step is to read the problem. The length of a rectangle is 3 meters less than twice the width. The length of the rectangle is 11 meters. What is the width of the rectangle? Step 2 is to underline the question. Our question is the last sentence. What is the width of the rectangle? Step 3, we're going to go back and box any math terms. The length of a rectangle is 3 meters less than twice the width of the rectangle. The length of the rectangle is 11 meters. What is the width of the rectangle? Now that we've boxed them, we're going to go ahead and replace these terms with the appropriate mathematical representation. The length of a rectangle is, so that means equals, 3 meters less. Less means we subtract. The word twice means 2 times. And our next boxed term is the word is again, which means equals. Now that we've replaced our words with the appropriate symbols or representations, we can move on to step 4, which is to eliminate or cross out any unimportant information. So going back to read again, I see the length of a rectangle is 3 meters less than twice the width. All of that's going to be important in helping us find the length and the width of the rectangle. So I'm not going to cross out any of that. From there, we see the length of a rectangle is 11 meters. And again, that's also all very necessary information. The last sentence is our question, so we're not going to cross out anything from this question. Now that we've finished part 1, we'll go ahead and move on to part 2, where we form our equations. Step 1 in part 2 is to assign variables. So I've got the length of a rectangle is 3 meters less than twice the width. I have L, I'll let that represent my length. And then capital W will represent my width. Now that we've assigned variables, we can move on to drawing a picture if applicable. Since this question is talking about a rectangle, I'll go ahead and draw a picture so that I have that visual representation. Here's my rectangle. I know that length is usually along the bottom and width is usually along the side, so I'll label those in my image. Going back to the question, we know that the length of the rectangle is 3 meters less than twice the width. So here for length, I can write is equals 3 meters less, which means we're going to start with something and take away 3. It's 3 meters less than twice or 2 times the width. So that means that we're going to start with 2 times W and take away 3. The next sentence tells us that the length of the rectangle is 11 meters. So the length is also 11, which means what I can do is let L be 11 and set that equal to 2W minus 3. The question is asking us to find the width of the rectangle. So once we go through and solve this equation, we're done. Since again our purpose is only to mark the text and create an equation, we'll go ahead and stop here and move on to checking your second example. Step 1. We read the problem. Ethan planted a tree that is 37.5 inches tall. If the tree grows 3 inches per year, how long will it take for the tree to reach a height of 54 inches? Step 2. We underline the question. In the last sentence, the question part is how long will it take for the tree to reach a height of 54 inches? Step 3. We box the math terms. Ethan planted a tree that is 37.5 inches tall. Even though I do see that word is in the question, I'm not going to box it because that's only giving us information about the current height of the tree. If the tree grows 3 inches per year, that per is a math term. I'll go ahead and box. How long will it take for the tree to reach a height of 54 inches. I really only see one math term here, that word per, and what it means is times. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little multiplication symbol above that per. Now we'll go ahead and move on to step 4, which is to cross out any unimportant information. Ethan planted a tree that is 37.5 inches tall. All of that is pretty important. The current height of the tree is 37.5 inches tall. If the tree grows 3 inches per year, all of that's pretty important as well. Every year we're adding 3 inches to the height of the tree. How long will it take for the tree to reach a height of 54 inches? Well, that's our question, so we're not going to eliminate any of that. Now I'm going to move on to step 2, which is assigning variables. Since the question is asking how long will it take for the tree to reach a height of 54 inches, I'm going to let my variable be y to represent the years it takes to reach 54 inches. Now that we've assigned variables, step 2 is to draw a picture if applicable. However, I'm not sure that drawing a picture will be very helpful in this situation, so I'm going to go ahead and skip that and go on to step 3, which is writing an equation. Since when Ethan planted the tree, it was already 37.5 inches tall, I am going to start with that being my height of my tree. Right now it's 37.5 inches. Now every year we're going to add a certain number of inches to that height. So I am going to add to this starting number. And what we add is 3 inches per year. That word per, as we notated above, means times. So what this means is 3 times the number of years that the tree has been planted. All of this is going to equal the height of the tree after so many years. Well, what we want to know is when will that height be 54 inches? So 37.5 plus 3y, when will that equal a final height of 54 inches? Now from here we could proceed to solve to find y, the number of years that it would take to reach that height. But since the goal of our lesson is to mark the text and create an equation, we'll go ahead and stop here. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope you've learned some tools that will be useful as you solve word problems in each of your math classes. Have an excellent rest of your day.